Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cookie, your Art Sherpa, and today we're going to be coming together to paint a really gloriously fun holiday critter step by step. So this is a great holiday painting, good for cards, good for decor, good for just giving yourself an hour or so of really fun creative time with no worries, which is my favorite thing. Now on the mic is my husband John.
Hello.
He helps bring these fabulous live streaming classes to you by making sure any of this stuff actually turns on, and also by pointing our robotic cameras at what I'm demonstrating. And I'm going to demonstrate every technique, every tool, every color mix. So there's nothing that I leave behind. If you check the description below, there's lots of tons of information. But if you go to the Art Sherpa website, which is linked down there, there is a traceable for this. So if you don't want to draw him out to do with me today, you don't have to. You can use the traceable. So I will say this one is a fun one to draw, and you might want to just give it a go if you've been like looking for one to give it a try with, because it's very simplistic shapes. And because he's a critter, there's no requirements on how he looks. He could be a little squishier, he could be a little leaner, he could be a lot of different things. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to put your creative bent into this one. Let's hop on in and jump over and go over the materials while everyone files in for our live stream. And I made mini me materials. All right, so we've got a 12 by 12 canvas today, and we are going to be painting this cutie patootie. So we're going to be doing this on a 12 by 12. The colors I put out on my palette are Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue, Cad Red Medium, Cad Yellow Medium, Phthalo Green, Titanium White, Mars Black, Quinacridone Magenta, Dioxazine Purple, and right here is Satin Glazing Liquid by Golden Artist Colors. If you are at all in your painting journey having trouble with your paint drying on you too fast, this is one of the tools that I highly recommend to have to improve your blending. And keep an eye on the channel, because we have a blending course coming up where I'm going to show you all my favorite mediums and tools to get a good blend going. But that is a product I highly recommend. I also have a mister bottle here. Mist. It just has water in it, but it helps keep my wet palette wet. My wet palette wet. Doesn't that sound good?
It does.
It does. Because you want your palette to stay wet so that the paint doesn't dry out on you. So that's what this is here. This is a stay wet palette. If you're wondering, what is that crazy thing she's getting her paint from? That is what it is, and that is what it does. All right. I feel like I'm kind of in the mood to jump on in and just get painting this little guy. Step one is going to be some fun. I'm going to take a 1-inch Princeton Select oval mop. This is a good soft brush. You could do a bright, but you want a brush that's a little bit softer than you would normally paint with acrylic paint, because we're doing blending. So a slightly softer brush is ideal here. I'm going to go ahead and just load up glazing liquid into my brush. If you don't have glazing liquid, you would just get your brush slightly damp with water. I'm going to grab a little of my blue and my black. And I'm making a blue-gray. And come here and
now
paint my canvas a blue-gray.
I'm curious. That blue-gray, is that the one that has another name? Like
Payne's Gray.
Payne's Gray?
Mm-hmm.
And so you could use a Payne's Gray.
You could just use Payne's Gray. It would work very well. You could use any gray. You could have the 50 Shades of Gray paint palette. You could just use any of the grays that you wanted for this. It wouldn't hurt you.
Now, those are you don't tend to use some of those paint colors because you can mix them.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I try to paint with the same colors across the year. Not necessarily how I'll have the same colors every single painting, because not every single painting needs all the colors. But I try to use the same tools, same colors, same brushes, so it's possible for you, if you're painting along with me regularly, for you to collect everything up easily.
That way but if you were standing there in the store and you're like, but what about all these other colors? This is one of those times where one of those other colors.
Oh, all the colors are good. I'm not trying to tell you not to get all the colors. I'm definitely an enabler for buying more paint colors. I mean, if you like paint, get all the quinacridones.
Now, if you weren't
They're
necessarily
all wonderful. We're just painting this whole canvas this blue-gray color.
Okay, so if you were just using some other random brand and it was called gray, could you use gray as the background on this? Okay, it'd be fine for this.
Yeah, I'm using a blue-gray because it has a little bit of a winter feel to it. And again, You can use water if you don't have the glazing liquid.
So, like, if you just had a bottle of gray craft paint, could you throw a little blue into it?
Yeah. You're thinking like an artist now.
Well, thank you, Heather C.
Thank you, Heather C. It's so good to have you guys be here today. This particular background takes 2 coats to get the depth of color, to get that oil effect where it looks like it was done with oils, but it's totally worth it when you do it. Highly recommend it. And I'm just getting this first coat on the canvas to give the whole canvas painted. Because sometimes our canvases, when we first get them out of the package, they're gessoed and ready to paint. But sometimes they have a treatment to prevent mold on them. And that treatment also prevents paint. So I'm just working this into the canvas, giving this a nice, it's okay that it's a little bit streaky, but what I'm trying to do is just make sure that every part of my canvas is completely covered with this paint right here.
Now, when you're at a
I'm at a moment. I mean, I was going to dry so I can take a question.
Okay, that'd be good. So, Junk Journal was given.
Hi, Junk Journal.
Some golden
Chrissy.
GAC 100.
Or Chris.
They don't have any idea what to do with it. Can you give a quick primer? Like, what is that stuff for? GAC 100. Do you remember?
Oh man.
But I can tell you where to find out. It's on.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because I cannot. I know this, but I cannot pull it up right now to my brain to save my life.
Because I wasn't sure if it was the one that was for fabrics preparation or to extend, or whether it was just the body.
No, fabric preparation is GAC 800.
Okay. So this is how they made it.
And I believe so you got an old bottle. They renamed everything because, of course, nobody knows what GAC 100 is
Right.
or GAC 200. Nobody anywhere, unless you're like, back on the back of the label going, what do you do again? And you'd have to read all of them, So...
GAC 100 is a thin, translucent, medium gloss useful for thinning or extending colors as well as increasing flexibility. Wets out solids more readily. Basically, this is to extend your paint and to make it a little more fluid and glossy.
How this is different is this extends your paint, but it also slows down the drying time and allows you to glaze. It's like 3 things in one thing.
So that
3 in 1.
Yeah, it's a.
I have this at my store if you need it. If you need it to find it, I have the satin glazing liquid in my art store.
It's an extender.
It's an extender.
I just went over and quick snapped the look at their website.
Yeah, if ever you need to know anything about any of Golden Artist Colors products, this is why they're one of my recommended brands. It's also, LAA does this too. It's why it's one of my recommended brands. They have a tremendous amount of consumer information online, like a tremendous amount. And they really make it easy to find their products and explain their products. They don't name their products particularly well, but they do explain their products particularly well. So... it's kind of a mixed bag, but they're a wonderful company and they have tremendous customer support and fantastic pride in the company. And they are an employee-owned company. And in LAA, which I paint, a lot of my paint is from them. They're like 250 years old. They have pigments sourced across all their lines. They also have a tremendous amount of education and a tremendous amount of pride and integrity in what they make. So that's why those 2 companies are companies that I really, really, really like. They stand behind their product. In today's world, that's kind of what we need. I'm going to dry this canvas.
All right.
I'm going to dry it, bone dry.
So, while you're drying, what I can tell you is thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our community and just painting with us. Oh my gosh. We really enjoy having you guys. Love everybody in the chat. If you haven't checked it out, we got a great website, theartsherpa.com. We have all sorts of stuff hidden over there that you guys can use. It's also in the link in the description down below. We totally appreciate all of our patrons over on Patreon. That's a great way to help support us. We're gonna continue to paint the next step here. This is one of those times where you have to thoroughly dry between those steps in order to make it all work. While you're there, you could hit the like button if you're enjoying this. It's one of those things that will tell the algorithm what's going on, and feel free to share us. That's also a wonderful way. It definitely helps.
Are we talking about Patreon?
Things. What's that?
Are you talking about Patreon?
Oh, I did. I mentioned Patreon. I was saying sharing just in general. You share our stuff. It
Dude,
totally
just
helps.
you being here.
Yeah.
All of us creators talk about Patreon and all those things, and that's awesome. And I'm so grateful for everyone who helps us,
Keep
be
the
able to be
lights
live.
on.
But it really is the whole community that makes this a special place. And just coming up, showing up for the live classes and doing the paintings and sharing them online, honestly, is incredible. And thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, and if you ordered one of the garage sale art supply boxes, they shipped out.
Yeah. I think I have 2 more that I have to do today.
2 more, just 2?
Yeah.
Just 2.
Although if there were more orders, I also have to see. We've got so much going on. So, all right, I'll give
we
you a
have
step.
so much going on, which is why we're vlogging now.
Yeah.
Catch the vlog that I just dropped because it catches you up on the hacking and what happened to Ireland, why we're living in Ann Arbor, and the garage sale box.
Okay.
All right, that was the video we just did. I'm going to come back in with my 1-inch oval mop, and I'm going to add a little more blue into my black blue mixture this time. And I'll get some glazing liquid so it's very blendy. Blendy, blendy, blendy. And I'm going to add some white. I'm going to come here and just right around here, just a little bit of this gray. It's just a subtle touch. You don't want it to be really, really, really light. It's a very dark gray. I'm brushing it out. Now, on these edges, while it's still wet, I want to start working in darker colors. So I'll take my little blue over to my black and blue and make another little mix of this color. We're going to come here and brush this out at the corner and kind of blend it in. Do the same on the other side. And you'll see right away, it's the 2 layers really create a lot of depth. And I'm just blending, 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 blending. Blending, 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 blending. Blend, blend, blend. Soft brush pressure. Dancing along the surface of the canvas, not pressing in very hard. If you're using water, you'll want to use a damp amount of water. You don't want to use a heavy, heavy water load because it'll get too thin on you and run. And run! Come down here and do a little more. You'll also find the subtle kind of depth to the blue-black is really engaging. The Payne's gray of it all. The Payne's gray of it all brings us together, whatever the weather. We can have some fun time in the studio. Take a break from our busy, busy lives and our adulting. Man, well, they don't tell you that. Yeah. What adulting is going to be when you grow up. So, for those of you that are heavily adulting today, I send my love. Those of you facing Laundry Mountain, I have a Laundry Mountain going on right now. Slowly climbing it like Everest, folding and putting away. All right, so what I have is a slightly misty gray up here and a very dark blue-black canvas. I'm going to rinse out my brush thoroughly because I don't want to leave any paint in it because that shortens the life of my brushes. And then after every painting session, I wash my brushes with soap and water and lay them flat to dry because I love my brushes and I want them to last a long, long time.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to dry this with my hairdryer because I use glazing liquid. It takes a little longer to dry.
So, if you guys are hanging out here in the live and you saw the little ads popping up, that's because that's where I have to put a little indicator in where YouTube would where basically I'm telling YouTube where it can put a commercial. And if I don't do that, then it tends to drop commercials anywhere it wants in the video. And we don't really like that. So what we try to do is make it only when we're about to dry or do something that's going to just like take a little while. So if we're going to if it dumps you into a commercial, then you're not really going to miss anything. It's just me going, don't use heat when you're drying, or, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Or did you know we have a store with like these garage sale boxes in them? See, like, you don't really need to hear any of that stuff. It's not like super critical. It does help, for sure. And she said she really has to make sure it's thoroughly dry. So it's not like she's just creating extra marketing time for me to have to fumble around my words and do things. She's actually, you can see it she's trying to get the reflectiveness off, and she'll touch it. And then I have to remind her, make sure you get the edges, to make sure edges. Yeah, she's just going to make sure she gets the edges. Because if you don't, you'll sometimes pick it up with your little finger. But yeah, so anyway, I try to put the YouTube ads at the drying breaks. So, yep, that's because when we go to the drying breaks, I push the little button, and then that way it knows. The problem is when I push that little button, it also puts one right there. So, and what she's doing is testing to make sure that when it's dry enough that she can draw with a pencil and it'll come right off. If it's too wet, then it won't come back up and lift. So she had to make sure it's thoroughly dry.
Well, and also because when I sketch into the canvas to freehand the little dude in, if the paint isn't dry, the pencil will make an indelible mark into it. You won't be able to remove the chalk very easily. Now you can use one of two things. You could use the Dritz chalk tool if you have gone out and found one of these. Or I've got a Cretacolor white chalk pencil. These are both really good. I don't have the Dritz chalk tool for sale in my store, but you can find it on Amazon and at Joann's. Just watch Amazon because they jack up the price on this thing, and it's already as much as it should be, just coming from Joann's. It shouldn't be $1 more. And then, because I feel like it's the maximum amount it should be. And then I've got the Cretacolor white chalk pencils in my store. Now I'm going to divide my canvas in half, which is 6 inches because it's 12 by 12. Though I want to point out that when I measure this, and this, you may notice it, that the ruler goes over a whole little, I don't know what that is, an eighth. And so some canvases are not as square. So I'm going to come back that same amount on my 6. It's basically 6 inches. And I'm going to make a little vertical line, just so that I know where the halfway mark on my canvas is. Put my little ruler back. I may switch over to my Dritz chalk tool. And this is where you would use the traceable and transfer it onto the canvas if you're doing the traceable. And come here and maybe a little bit up. Now the center line helps me make the first round ball that is the head, and you want it to be a little bit squished, a little bit like, not round, not round, round. You want it skished, skish, skish, skish. And I'm going to bring the little shoulders out. Kind of looks like a nesting doll in shape. And I'm just trying to be as symmetrical as I can. I might switch over to this. Just want to make sure that both sides are symmetrical. Then kind of right here, I'm going to make a circle for an eye. I want it to be fairly big. Maybe even bigger than that. More, like a little bigger than a silver dollar. The exaggeration of the eyes is great. So exaggerate as much as you want. You really can't go wrong. Just try to keep them about similar in size and in placement. And then right underneath him, we're going to make a little squished round. That's the nose. I want it to maybe be a little bit bigger. There we go. There's the nose. And so that leaves a nice amount of room for our little mustache area and all of that. Now, you don't have to be perfect with this guy because he is going to be furry. So that gives you a lot of forgiveness in what you're doing. Now, for the little kind of candy cane ears, I'm going to kind of come right here. And I'm going to make first on the right, I'm going to make the little curve. Nice little curve there. And then I'll come over and try to make a similar curve over here. Similar curve. That's when I make the second line coming in. And you just try to make them as symmetrical as you can think of. And then I'm going to draw a little circle here. And I'm going to draw a little circle here. And that circle isn't showing up. That's so weird. So this is what I mean about like letting things dry a long time. That I can't go that long, but there's two circles. I can see it. There's a circle here. There's a circle here.
We can see for sure.
Okay, good. As long as you guys can see, we're okay. It's all right to just sort of look at your work and be like, make little adjustments where you want to. All right. So once we have that, we'll call that a step. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what we do next. Where are we going to go? We're going to go up here.
Okay.
I'm going to go up there. I'm going to grab just white. Got a little water and I took a little glazing liquid. I'm trying to improve the flow of the paint off my brush. So heavy body paint is thick and holds its body. That's why it's called that. And so you have to modify it in some way to brush it out. All right. So when you're trying to paint something out and you're thinning the paint, what you're trying to do is change its application so it does a smooth application. Bring this kind of into my little puff ball. I might bring this in a little bit to my little head, a little bit past my line there. Just a little bit. I grabbed a little bit of water. So that's what I'm doing. Whether I'm using this or I'm using the water, I'm modifying the paint, thinning it out, and improving its brushability. Sometimes mediums work better, sometimes water works better. It's really a lot about the conditions of the day. We do a couple layers of the white, so if you've got a very inexpensive white and it's just not covering, don't worry. You can do a couple coats, and layering will improve the coverage. And I'm going to also come here and paint in the eyes white. This will help the yellow gold of the eye really stand out and be bright and luminous against this dark background. You could have just left it white to the canvas and, painted all around this and done that too, but there's something nice about a painting when it has a lot of depth, and layers really help improve the depth.
Andrea.
Hi, Andrea.
She was asking a question about whether or not you can place items in your cart and store them there for a few days if you want to think about it, or you're waiting for things to clear and such. And I think that if you log in, that you can save it. Yeah.
I would hope so.
And April says yes, you can.
Yay! I do that too. I have like a cart full of wishful thinking over at Etsy.
Yeah, and
wishful thinking cart, man. I'm over there like shopping like I got no budget in my mind.
I'm pretty sure that if you save your information in there, like I have the ability to send out text messages and remind you, guess what? You left stuff in your cart. I've never done it. We haven't like turned all those things on because we haven't really thought of a good reason, but like it also has like the ability for me to send out coupons, I think, and discounts and all sorts of things that we have to learn how to use. So, just saying, wishful shopping cart shopping is not necessarily a bad idea.
Shopping cart shopping is the best.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to do, really, because I know that there are people.
Do we have that anxiety making 5 other people have this item in the cart
I
and there's
know.
only 3 left? Because like I'm on Etsy and it'll be like,
I could turn
6
that
other
on.
people have this in the cart. I can't afford the item. I have nowhere to put it. I just like it, but I feel all this anxiety that other people have it in their cart, and they're probably just like me. They probably are also the 3 things.
Yeah.
And they can't do it. By the way, if you've never been here before, we teach painting and we're kind of chatty. It's a thing.
Yeah.
No need to leave a comment. No, we've been doing this 10 years. We're aware that we talk.
Yeah, so
Through the painting.
I didn't want to make anxiety making shopping, so we didn't turn on any of the high pressure sales tools.
Yeah.
But I might use them to play games. Like you could come and
If John ever figured it out, I'd just be do coupons or something fun.
When will the brush soap be ready for individual sale? Norma says. So here's the deals. I have to probably. I've got this new batch of soap that I'm making. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be the individual sales. We'll actually take that back. We may sell some of the first round of soap too, but
the light scent soap.
The light scent soap. What are you doing next?
I'm going to take a little bit of Quinacridone Magenta over to my Cad Red.
Yep.
Makes it more Cad Red than Quinacridone Magenta. Gives it a nice little cherry red though. Paint in the nose. Now, listen, we're going to paint around these things. We might lose some of them.
It's okay, because if you need the traceable, you can always come back and.
You can always come back and honestly, it's a squish circle. I feel like I believe in you. I think you've got this. Oh, it's interesting. I moved the nose down a little bit lower this time. So what I might do is make my eyes a little bit bigger.
That camera's too bright. Ooh.
Actually, I can fix this. Watch this. So I've put the nose, now that I'm looking at it, not where I want it. Just a little bit too low. Does it matter? I kind of feel like it does. Don't worry that I'm lifting up paint here. It will lift it up until it's had a real good chance to cure. But we're painting so many layers over that it doesn't matter. Well, I'm just going to freehand this. I'm feeling so brave. I'm just bringing this up a little more. See how it just kind of came up just a little bit more?
Yep.
Placement of features creates character. It's character development, character creation. I like doing these because they are character creation. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my purple over to my red. Make this kind of dark red burgundy color. And just start to, start the lower half is dark, upper half is a little bit lighter.
But I'm going to be making soap, guys, like very soon, new soap, and it's going to be super wonderfully, powerfully scented.
Yeah. It's going to be like, and understand the scent isn't just scent, even though it's quite lovely and it gives the bar of soap and it makes, your brush area a nice environment to wash brushes in because it smells so good. Everything in it actually is in there because it cleans out acrylic paint.
I like to think, like, if I were going to give you a visual.
I'm going to dry this.
Okay, I'll put that.
You give them that visual and I'm going to dry this.
If I were going to give you a visual description of what the soap smells like, you could imagine if Oprah went into a room and said clean in the way that she goes clean, that's how it would smell. It would be clean. That's how the brush soap smells. I can't quite pull off that, that epic room-filling resin, but that's what I'm thinking. That's what the soap does. It smells really good, and when it dries, it doesn't smell as much. So it's really cool because it's a real soap. It's a real cleaning soap, and that's one of the things about it is that all it does is clean. Cleans really, really good.
It's really, really good.
I use it for getting my grease off my hands. Anyway,
It's a pretty useful thing.
it
All
is
right.
good soap.
I'm going to take my red here. I might grab a little of my quinacridone into it just to make it a little more Christmassy red. And I'm going to load it on my brush nicely. And then we're going to make a little bit of a stripe. That's a slight angle. Just painting a little bit of a stripe. And right here, kind of at the top. You can do it at a deeper angle if you want. Whatever you like, it's up to you. Really is up to you. Just whatever you do, do both sides. Be symmetrical.
Semi-etrical.
Semi-etrical. Sort of. Sisters, not twins.
Hmm. So yeah, I'm making soap this weekend.
Soap.
And it's going to have the new Stampy Stamp in it.
Oh, I'm so excited about the new Stampy Stamp.
I ordered all sorts of new tools to make it better.
While I'm here, I'm going to take a little bit more of my just red. I'm going to come up to the top of my nose. Paint that again with just my red. Come down and get a little bit of my purple. Just go underneath. And I might grab some just medium red and kind of bring that down here so see how it's a darker shadow underneath.
I do.
Just have fun with that. You don't have to rush through. You can take your time. You can push pause on me and enjoy the painting. And while I'm here, I'm going to come here and take a little bit of my red and purple. I'm going to make a little bit of a shadow. Some glazing liquid if I need it. Improve the flow. Or water.
Thank you, Lori.
What happened?
Lori says, "Hi all, just wanted to say thank you, Cinnamon, for teaching paintings. You're an amazing teacher."
Thank you so much. That feels really good. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. I really do. I appreciate your comments and your shares and when you tell me about what's going on in your lives. I appreciate it. And when you're like, I like your classes, it makes it fun to make classes. A little bit there. Not too hard, right? Just a little bit of a candy cane. A little bit of a candy cane. Now I'm going to come here and grab some of my gray. Some glazing liquid to improve the flow.
What you working on there?
Just adding a little bit of a shadow.
Oh, I see. Under the.
Thank you. I got so into it, I just went into the shadow.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what are you doing over there?
Adding a little bit of a gray shadow. I added some white to my Ultramarine blue and my Mars black. And I'm coming in and where I put the shadow on the red, I'm adding the gray shadow for the white. And so that lets it have a little bbit of shape and shading. We're doing super good. Shape and shading. But now we got to dry everything.
Uh-huh.
So let's dry it with our hair dryer. And when we come back, we're going to get fluffy.
Okay.
Let's get some fluff going. With the fluff.
Right. Gotta get that fluff. So, Nice little dimensional touches. Yes, it does, Norma. I do. It does make this guy have a lot more finish. That dimensionality, if you don't have it on there, he just doesn't, or she, the critter just doesn't have that lifelike quality to it. So even though this isn't, what you would call realism, that dimensionality does make our brain make the creature more real.
It makes our brain happy.
Yeah.
Our brain likes it. I like it. It's a good feeling. I'm going up in my brush. I'm getting chunkier. This is a number 6 Isabe Isacryl round. I'm going to compare it to my number 6 round just so you guys have a sense of scale. So it's a slightly bigger round brush. By the way, these are both 6s. Whenever I'm telling you these numbers are not relative to different brush lines, this is like, these are not even close, right? On here, not even close. But this 6 is, about that size in relationship to my pinky. I'm just looking for something a little bigger that will paint the area better. Right? So it's nice to have a couple sizes of rounds. If all you have is the smaller number 6 round, you can still do this. It just take you a little bit longer. I'm going to load up a bunch of blue, Phthalo Blue right here. I'm loading it into my brush. I'm going to grab some white and mix it loosely in. And I'm going to come here and just do little S curve strokes as I get a little white.
Oh,
Make
thank
a
you,
little
April.
fluffy guy.
The little April party.
April party. April.
You got. Oh, that's a cool sticker.
I love the stickers. Thank you. I love stickers. I collected stickers when I was little.
And look at that. Above Pam, who's been here for 17 months.
Congratulations, Pam, and thank you.
Best months I've had. Well, thank you, Pam.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. We're just adding a little bit of the blue, Phthalo Blue. And the reason we use the Ultramarine Blue in the background and the Phthalo Blue in the foreground is Ultramarine Blue is a red bias blue, and Ultramarine Blue is a green bias blue. In other words, kind of turquoise. Phthalo Blue is kind of turquoise. Ultramarine Blue is kind of purple. So it helps them, even though they're both blue, feel dynamic against each other.
Yeah. I have to agree with Kathy. She says, "You look so pretty in red, Cinnamon."
Oh, thank you. This is this color that in my youth I could not wear. Because like crazy stuff happened to me whenever I wore this red. And I just like got out of the habit of doing it. But now that I'm a little bit older, I can get away with it. So I do. Because I like it. So thank you so much. Now, as I'm coming through, I'm S-curving over to the left and I'm S-curving over to the right. As we come in, we're going to layer in and kind of start to center the hair that we have kind of straighter in the center. So it's going to flow straighter in the center.
Nerd Goblin Art, member for 47 months. Ooh.
Wow.
Congratulations.
You might be due for a new unicorn. I don't know. I have it set up. Whenever you guys hit a new milestone, they let me make a new unicorn.
There's a little unicorn next to Nerd Goblin.
Yeah. As you guys' memberships change, you get different new unicorns.
Ooh.
I like to be creative like that. So this is the first layer of fur, so don't be too stressed about it. I'm going to make sure, though, that it goes far enough up into our little guy's head space so that when we come down with a little mustache,
Mustachio.
It layers well. Just taking this big round brush, and there's just a little bit of curve, a little bit of flow. And this is ready layer 1. So it's really at layer 2 that we get the depth of the fur.
Layer 2 depth.
Layer 2 is depth. Just brushing that through. One of the things that happens when I'm painting is that my mind tends to wander. And that's my big thing as a teacher that I've got to watch for, is because I get so into the zen of it all that I forget that I'm teaching and I just start painting. I hope that you have the experience where you forget that you're learning and you just start painting.
Right.
Just enjoying the moment. Now I'm going to dry that so that I can layer the next layer on top of this. So we're going to basically do this twice. I'm going to add some more highlights though, like lighter colors and stuff. But having that blue underneath is a great beginning. So we're going to start there and dry it.
And I'm going to look over here and go, oh my goodness, Phyllis, 42 months. Time flies. Absolutely it does. And thank you guys for all of this long-time support, you guys. We really, really appreciate all of you being here with us. You really are our wonderful art family, and we couldn't be here without you. We couldn't do all of this without you, and we just love seeing your happy faces every time we come out here. Because just like when I was 5, I think we can see through the TV back into you. So when there's someone on the other side looking and waving, I was like, they can see me through that little box thing, so I'm gonna wave at them. And I always thought that Bozo the Clown could see me through the box. But I used to watch Bozo the Clown on TV, and he would wave to the people in the screen and say, "Hey kids," and I was like, I thought he could see me because
I was a puff and stuff kid.
The TV. And so I always think it's cute to be like, I like to see all your smiling faces here,
Mr.
but I
Rogers
can't,
and Captain Kangaroo.
There's Captain Kangaroo watching him.
Captain Kangaroo. I love Captain Kangaroo, and I love Mr. Rogers, though. He was a little low key for me, and
Yep,
I'm a little bit hyperactive.
I like
And
Rogers.
then I like me some Puff and Stuff.
Yep.
Which was just, when you rewatch it as an adult, you're like, what? I mean, it's like Yo Gabba Gabba. What was going on with people? They were making some crazy stuff. It was fabulous. I have fond memories. I'm going to get my brush wet. I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue paint. And I'm going to go through and maybe a little glaze. And we're going to add some more layers. And I think I'll start low this time.
Yes. Cinnamon never knows where I'm going in my stories, so she'll look over at me in a genuine sort of mild
I don't know where it's going.
concern. And she doesn't play poker well, so her concerned face is her concerned face. So when she looks over at me and goes, "Oh my God, what are you talking about?" You know it.
Dude, I'm just saying that I've been married a long time, and sometimes John says stuff that is a shock. You just never know. And we've been married a really long time, and sometimes I learn new things about my husband.
The Empire was right all along.
Oh, man, when you started with that, I was like, I didn't know if we could go on. I mean,
they're all about order in the universe. They bring balance. And
who's on the side of the Empire?
Well,
who's on the side of Palpatine? Dude!
I don't know. They brought this guy who came
Rebels all the way. Rebels all the way. That's who the Force is with. The Rebels.
I don't know.
Just adding
after the Sith were actually pretty nice. I mean, they followed orders. They didn't do anything. And like Obi-Wan started all that crap. Like if you go back and watch the movie, the Sith guy, he was like following orders.
We're going to lose subscribers over this.
He didn't start the fights.
Anakin killed all.
I'm not saying Anakin wasn't a loon.
Oh, you're saying it wasn't specifically the job of being a Sith Lord. We're just continuing to layer fur, just so you know. No need to leave a comment like, I love the comments where it's like, just stop talking and teach. I'm like, I don't know how many explanations for wave the fur you need.
If I stop talking to her, then she drifts off into painting land.
Yeah, he's herding cats right now is what he's really doing. I being the cat.
Right. I'll let you tell them about how the brushstrokes matter.
Well, what's happening is we're layering these up in a tiling fashion, and that lets the brush leave these little sort of tapered edges here that feel more like fur. So this is giving us a nice fluffy feeling to it. Sometimes I get a little more white. Just putting a little S-curve on there. We don't actually fight that much about Star Wars, though I do think his whole like Emperor is good thing is just mind-blowing. I'm glad he didn't bring it up on our first date. I don't know we would have gone anywhere. I would have considered that a pretty big red flag. So see, sometimes things like a red flag and they're not. They're just sometimes people, just really like stormtroopers. That's really what this is. He just really likes stormtroopers. They were cool. I mean, you gotta love how they're like the best armed militia like in the whole universe, and they can't hit the side of a barn for nothing. A little whiter there, so it's okay to have little layers and different colors in the fur, right? When you come through, you have a little bit of more light blue and a little bit of darker blue, and we just brush that through. Brush that through. For some reason, this is making me think of Blue's Clues. I'm just so deep in the blue, I'm thinking of Blue's Clues. But now it's not about Blue's Clues anymore. It's all about Bluey. Get a little more glazing liquid if I need it. I'm going a little bit darker up here because we're going to be underneath the stash. And I just want to make sure it's got a little bit of depth to it. And that's how we get that nice little layer. And you can just kind of play with everything once you've got it in. I like to just drag the brush and kind of flow the hair some different ways. Flow the hair some different ways. Best thing I've seen this week, if you haven't seen this, there was a raccoon that fell out of the ceiling at the LaGuardia airport. Super worth seeing. Just really perks you up, makes you feel good about the universe. Raccoons just falling from the sky. It's just terrific. You have not seen it. All right, I'm going to dry this. Dry.
Dry. So, yep, the raccoons are some of my favorite bits. I actually like to see. She always brings me back with the raccoon videos. If I'm having a hard time, she'll put all the like KLR Productions voiceovers of pets and animals. And I would say is that they're not really child appropriate. They're maybe not work safe. Probably not safe for work videos. That's a good way of putting it. I mean, you're not gonna like get fired over them, but they have language, and it's so far I can't you can't ever know how another creator is gonna go, but I think they're pretty safe. I kind of like them. They have a pretty good sense of humor, and so I kind of like those guys.
All right. Ratified. You gotta love it. We don't got to. You don't got to. But it is fun to. All right, I'm going to get a slightly small round brush. This is a number 4 Raphael J'Artini brush. And I'm doing that just so that I can brush through these areas a little bit easier. And then I'm going to switch over to do this larger brush, which is a number 8. So I have a number 4 and a number 8. It's interesting too because this has gold print and this has black print. These brushes are wild. They're wild, right? I'm going to put this other one here and I'm going to get this wet. I want kind of cleaner water if I can. I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow and my white together. I'm going to come very carefully over the top. Put my brush over if I need a little more paint. And then brush up around the eyes. This layer is a little more yellow than the next layer is going to be. And you will find that the smaller brush does give you a little bit of an edge here. And a little white. So a little cad yellow and a little white on around. I'm only going to like the halfway point. So everything from here up is going to be this light kind of yellow tinted fur. And then everything from here down is going to be kind of a turquoise tinted fur. So this first layer is just making sure that everything is tidy in the painting. So when we go wild with the fur, it layers nicely. I might just go ahead and just kind of give this a beginning. Little brush up. Little brush up, my friends. A little brush up. Brushing it around. Sometimes I grab a little more white in there and I'm just going to work this around until I'm super happy with it. Little bits of hair kind of coming off. You can see I'm making little fluffs.
Is there a reason for a regular brush versus a grainer for fur? For fur?
Oh, yeah. A grainer, because of the way the brush is trimmed, creates a multitude of little fine lines that look like hair. And so it makes your fur work a lot easier. But a regular brush can paint big areas faster. So you've just got to pick what works for you. Makes your brain happy. All right, now I'm going to come here and I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo blue down to my green and I'm going to make some turquoise. It's basically 1 part phthalo green, 1 part phthalo blue. I'm going to wipe that off my brush so I don't have so much pigment. I'm going to bring some white over here. And so this is definitely, it's going to be a little bit different than the phthalo blue. Now, one of the nice things around the eyes is we have that little pink rim, so we've got room to fix anything we need to.
Oh, so
I'm going to
Junk
just
was
kind of brush
asking,
this out.
would it be better for them to gesso over all the little guy first because their paints aren't all that great at coverage? Would they like white out that area with gesso?
If you're having trouble with the coverage, if it's just not like lightening up, I would do white paint, but you could do gesso. Gesso can be a little bit chalky, but if that's what you have, that's what you should use.
Yep.
That's being an artist, right? That's that ingenuity. I'm going to kind of come here and maybe bring a little bit of a blue. I'm giving myself a little bit of room here. And then the next place I'm going to go is I'm going to come right here and I'm going to make a little dot in the center. And then I'm going to fluff. A round puff ball. He needs his puffs. Puffs are not optional. They're a need, not a want. A little dot. The dot just gives me a place to start my brush stroke from to make the radial. So I have a round puff. Now we do 2 coats on that round puff, so don't feel too stressed about this layer. Put that aside there. But it's a good beginning. We have a good beginning. Now I'm going to take my slightly bigger brush. And why am I sizing up? You don't have to, but why am I sizing up? I'm sizing up because it's going to make easier work of this area. Bring a little bit of blue into it. Might grab some glazing liquid just to improve flow. And here, I'm going to curve my little brush strokes towards the left.
And that curvature just helps imply the mustache.
Yeah, it gives us that feeling of flow and directionality. Even though we're very early into this. Looks a little crazy in the first layer. Just really fluff him out. Fluffer, nuffer, fluffer, nuffer. So you could have done it all with the small brush if you wanted, but it is nice to be able to do the work a little easier and faster. Grabbing a little bit of aqua. And I'm just brushing it. Just making sure that we've got good coverage. Okay. That's all we got to do there. And then we're going to dry. Why? So that all the paint stays down there and the new paint lays on top.
Right. So you gotta dry between the layers, and what that does is helps make sure that you get the proper layering effect. Because if not, it'll kind of get muddled with the strokes between those two things. So you want to just thoroughly dry it and take it. It's a good time to take a break, take a little stretch, make sure that you're not hunched over the surface too much. Stretch out those arms and legs, make sure they get shaken out, and do all that kind of fun stuff. You can like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that kind of fun stuff if you're there.
I'm going to get my smaller paintbrush. I'm going to make sure the paint is washed out of this one though first. Sometimes the paint will hide in there and you don't want that. I'm going to mist my palette. I'm going to go ahead and get a little white. I want very light aqua now. I'm making little curved brush strokes. It's very light. I'm going to bring this down here. Still a little bit of an aqua hint to it, but it's like closer to white. And I do want what's underneath to kind of peek through. You want to have that kind of hinted there. A little more aqua in there just so that keep it. We're doing light brushing so we get that little stash going. Little stash. Sometimes I grab a little glazing liquid just to improve flow. Just brushing through. And you'll notice that there's curving here, and that's going to create our little sense of what it is. Grab a little more. And right here. And I start to curve back the other way. It's still aqua, but it's like a very light white aqua. Come here and get a little glazing liquid. I do like to improve the flow, and you see me, what I'm doing is I'm rolling the paint out of my brush so it's not creeping up the ferrule. I'm just flicking this down. Sometimes every once in a while I do a painting I wish I had done when I was first on YouTube, and he is one of the ones I wish I had had him when I was first on YouTube. He's so cute.
He's a very, very cute guy.
He's a cute little guy. And your guy's going to be cute too. Yours doesn't need to look exactly like mine. Yours can be fluffy differently. He can be skinnier. He can be shorter. That is okay. He's your critter.
Junk had a question about drying brushes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you just lay them flat or do you put them on a towel or something?
I put them on a towel and lay them flat or hang them upside down. So they either have to hang like this so that all the paint and water dries out of them, because no matter how much you wash them, small amounts of acrylic particulate gets up into the ferrule. And it starts to stiffen your brush here at the heel and cause it to lose shape over time. So the more that you can clean out the paint and prevent it from coming into the ferrule and settling there, the better. So a good wash and at least a lay flat, not at an angle, right? But flat will prevent that. And then if you have, there's special dryers that you can hang your brushes in that will hang them upside down. Those are slightly better, but just for the purposes of regular life, it's totally okay to just dry them flat.
He is adorable, I agree, Tess.
Thank you. I hope you guys feel yours is adorable too.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great one for you guys to do. A lot of folks here. Is there an upside down dryer in your store?
I
don't think so.
know if we have one of them, but we could put one in.
We'll have to check, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just grabbing a little bit of a darker blue and just making sure that the spot between the lighter part of the mustache is got a little color to it. I'm also going to come up here, and I'm going to come to the top of my little fluff with my light color. And then get a little bit of a slightly darker turquoise for the lower half.
And that helps create that dimensionality.
The dimensionality. That's fun. That keeps it fun. We want it to be fun. Painting needs to be fun. I have this feeling that, life is already hard enough as it is, and challenging enough, and scary enough, and all the things, right? Even though it's a blessing and we're all very lucky to be here, but adulting is no joke.
Right.
And having a little bit of time to get in the studio and be silly has incredible value, I think.
I agree.
To help you to have energy for your life, for the realities of your life. Grab a little more white. I'm going to roll it. It's fun to flurf him out. He's getting flurfy here this time.
Yeah.
There's no limit to the flurf. Enjoy your flurf. It's cute. All right. I'm going to rinse that out, and I'm going to dry everything, and then we're going to flurf the top.
Yeah.
Flurf for the top.
That makes sense. Gotta dry it. Have to dry it. So let's see. There was a question I saw here. Where did it go? Oh. So to get really old paint out of your brushes, you just need a really, really good soap. We do happen to make a soap that does a really, really good job of that. What I would say is that if you can, pick up some of our soap when we have some available in the store, and it will help get all that old dried paint out of your brush.
It really will. It'll pull a lot of it out and restore brushes pretty well. Rinsing my brush out thoroughly. I'm going to take a bunch of my white over to my yellow. And we're going to start coming here on the outer edges. We're going to start to paint the upper half just like we did the aqua down.
Layer. You're just getting them in there?
Just getting them in there. Getting those little hairs in there. Growing them like Rogaine.
Huh.
Layer those a little bit. Layering helps the blend from the yellow top to the aqua bottom. And put this brush aside for a second. And I'm going to grab my number 6 Raphael round. Some just white. Do some fine hairs.
Let's really do put little fine hairs in there.
My number 6 Raphael. The tiny one. Tiny, tiny.
Tiny.
Kind of curve some of the hair around the eyes. Now I've got the nice little pink rim around the eyes.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of this work there, anywhere that's awkward, will get covered by that. So you don't got to feel particularly any kind of way about it. Little guard hairs. Cannot fluff your guy too much, I believe.
Right.
Like you can't make too many feathers on your owls. Can't fluff your guy too much. And the difference in the brushes creates a real sense of fur. So yeah, you could grainer this if you wanted to, but it is really nice. Add that, and then I'm going to grab a little bit. There we go.
Looking fantastic.
It's looking fluffy. That's what we need. Now we got to dry it to do the blush.
Yeah?
Yeah. Dry it.
Try to do the blush. Let's see here. I got a question over here. I'll come over and grab that. What's the best way to store the Art Sherpa soap? Oh, it's a little bit. So if you have a little raised platform where all the water can drain away from it, that's the best thing. So this type of soap, if you leave it in water, it will absorb water. But if you leave it out of water, it will dry out. And so it's better to let it dry, because as you add water to it, it will lather up. But in general, it's better to leave your soap in a coolish, dry place. That way it will continue to dry because of the nature of its soap. Let me unmute you so you can be heard.
So I can be heard.
Yeah.
I want to be heard.
But yeah, no, it's better to let the soap dry than it is to keep it wet.
Good to know.
Yep.
I'm going to take a little bit of white over to my pad red over here. I'm going to make a light pink, like a little kind of coral blush. Come underneath here, underneath the eye, and a little bit around the nose. A little bit of pink. Now pink, like he's like, Got a little bit of cold blush. Little bit of snow blush.
Huh.
This fur blush? No, but our painting can. This is kind of a dry brush. It just adds a little pink. Right there. Okay, let that have a dry. And I am going to put out, I think, some fresh white because my white's getting a little bit contaminated. I need a little bit of some fresh. Fresh. Inviting. So exciting to me. You could also use fluid white acrylic for this next part of it after the little blushing. So I'm going to all right, so now I'm going to come here and I'm going to make a fine line. Swinging out wide. And then bring it down here. And then come around and do a similar thing over here. I'm painting this white first, so when I come back with the yellow will show over everything.
Ah, gotcha.
Come a little bit more over. And then I'm going to make the little bulbs, which is a little curved brush stroke.
Ooh.
That's all.
Fancy.
A little downward. I have one kind of facing out this way. Little bulbs. Little bulbs, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
We paint over the bulbs too, so little curve stroke. It's almost like a leaf shape. Wiping out my brush every once in a while just to make sure the paint flows.
Mm-hmm.
Like the spice must flow. The paint must flow.
Indeed.
Oh man.
What's that?
So no, my brain just went. He who paints with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I do not paint with my hand. Oh my goodness, that's from the Dark Tower. I'm in the middle of reading it and it's just got my brain right now.
So you're just all in there.
I'm just all in there. My brain's doing that nice wander thing it needs to do when I'm painting, which is a good indication that I'm kind of in the zone because my brain is just relaxing. This is why I say like art is good for people to hear their own voices. It helps people figure out who they are and helps break you from all of the noise, the media, the world around you, everybody else's opinions, just all of that. That art time lets you hear yourself. It can be kind of alarming the first time it happens when you realize, wow, I'm an interesting character. Well, that's what I heard when I heard myself. I'm an interesting character.
Yeah.
Art's very powerful in that way. It lets you be yourself. Figure out what your opinion is on things. Gives you a little chance to enjoy and think. All right, so we've done the blush.
Yep.
And we've underpainted the bulbs.
Yep.
We're going to dry it with the hairdryer.
That's it.
Doesn't
Yep.
that seem like a good thing?
Seems like a good thing you got to do. So make sure we dry it, because if you dry it, then you can paint the next colors on top of your cell, on top of those, and they'll just look better and better. So that's why, we kind of do it this way. So go ahead and just dry it, and then we'll paint the pretty colors on top, because they'll pop when you do that. They don't get to pop as much if they don't put the white down first. So, oh yeah, it'd be fun to put in real lights. You could go the full. You could go lights, where you just poke lights through the holes.
About poking some LEDs through the holes.
Yeah, and
that's a good thing you can do.
Or you could just poke the string through and then just glue the string. I would just use a little hot glue and just glue a string.
You know what? That is allowed. I say that is allowed. All right, I'm gonna grab a small brush. This is a number 1 precision round. Got to figure out how to get my glasses on and my mic on at the same time. Very hard to do. Okie dokie. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get my brush wet on the brush side of the brush.
Tess, sometimes mine has been disconnecting. So I think
take a little white over to my quinacridone.
There's a YouTube weirdery with the chat sometimes. So sorry. They do it happens on mine. It randomly reconnects. So I'm not sure why.
It is not us, though.
Not
preventing you from chatting. Have not been blocked. Unless you called me a bunch of names, and then you might have been blocked.
Huh.
But short of that, short of you coming up and being crazy up in here, all fine. I'm just going around the side. This is a little bit of white. Quinacridone Magenta. Just a little bit there. Put that aside for a second. Well, actually, no, I might hold on to it for a second because I like it. I'm going to grab a little bit of my quinacridone and my Cad Red.
Yep.
I'm going to come here and start to paint the nose. Go right over everything I had before because it's kind of transparent. Now we're going to take a little bit of Cad Red, Cad Yellow. Come up over the top. Right. Add a lot more yellow into it. And a little bit of white. I'm going to create a little bit of a highlight right there. Rinse it out. Grab a little bit of maybe my glazing liquid and my Cad Yellow. Come along here. Very carefully paint my white string yellow. This goes right over it. So it gets all tinsely and gold. really yellow, but it'll read as that in the painting. Coming right back up. There we go. Got a nice little yellow string. I'm going to get clean water, and I'm going to take a little of my yellow and my red to the side. Make an orange, yellow orange. And I want to come in and paint this yellow orange on the inside. Curving my brush around. When I'm curving, I don't know if it shows, but I twirl the brush as I'm going around the curve. That might be something that's hard to see that I'm doing. Using the edge of the brush very carefully to create a little tight line. A little bit there, and now I'm going to grab a little bit of my Cad Red. Get that on my brush. We're going to come to the top of the eye. And while it's all still wet, I'm kind of blending in the upper half of the eye, just slightly darker than the lower half. I'm blending wet into wet.
I'm just watching you over here.
Are you just watching me over here?
Yep.
Watching me blend wet into wet?
Yep. Blendy, blendy, blend.
So our eye is kind of half dark, half light. Now, everything needs to dry for anything else to happen.
Seems like a reasonable thing.
Doesn't
for
it seem
everything to be
reasonable?
dry. Yeah.
It seems reasonable. Is it reasonable? I don't know.
See. And, you know, we'll dry. Have to dry, dry, dry. Make sure we're ready for the next step. I think we're on, yeah. Getting ready for the next step. Got all these things. This is not, I don't think we have too much more here. We're just going to add some colors. This is getting pretty close. I think it's getting pretty close. I have a Honda CRV 2. Second gen. It's awesome. I love my CRV.
You love your CRV?
Yep.
I'm glad you love your CRV. It's good to love the things you have in your life. All right, now I'm going to take a little bit of water, and I'm going to mist near my black paint, and I'm going to take my detail brush over here and thin a little black paint. And this is so I'm not just trying to drag drops of water over to the, and as lightly as I can. Go around the eye. It's important to keep this light. If you really struggle with your hand, you might want to switch to a paint pen. Grab a little bit of extra black. We're going to come right here in the center and make a little pupil. Little pupil. They can be big, they can be small. You just want them to be similar in size. It's funny, actually, if you make one big and one tiny, that creates an extra little wonkiness to the character. I do that sometimes where one is really big and one is really small, but generally around the same size. If your round pounds are the right size, it might be a nice way to make your little ones there. All right. Rinsey, rinse, rinse. Take a little bit of my pink over to my white. Get a very light color. Make this a lighter pink than the top of the eye. Halfway around. Part of the eye. Grab a little bit of my red over to my white. Another little reflection in that nose. And while all that is having a dry, take my brush, grab a little bit of green. You can add some yellow to it if you want. I'm going to come here, paint this bulb green. And then paint this one green. And then this one green. All right, rinse out. I'm going to grab some just red. Maybe a little glazing liquid to improve the flow. And come here and paint this one red.
Red?
Yeah, it's a red bulb. And paint this one red. We're cooking with fire now, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're just going through this painting. We're just nailing it. We're just making cuteness. Making cuteness. All right. Okay. Then I'm going to want to take yellow and paint the last two bulbs yellow.
Oh. That makes them pretty good.
Now we have our little Christmas lights twinkling away. Well, they haven't got the twinkle yet. We got to add the twinkle later. We'll do that when we add the reflection. The hot spot inside the bulb.
Right.
All right. Dry everything with your hairdryer again because we're trying to keep control of all of this.
Sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think there'll be too many more stops between here and this wrapping up. It's looking pretty good. Oh, I guess we got some more eye stuff to do. Yeah, I can see that. There's maybe a little bit more here and there. I mean, plus we got the glows. I can see it. Maybe a couple more steps. But thanks for being here with us, guys. This is turning out great. I'm really excited about it. Thanks for chatting with us. So nice that everybody's here, hanging out, doing their stuff in the chats.
Now I'm going to take this little brush here.
Step 12-ity.
Step 12-ity. I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad Red over to my Dioxazine Purple. Kind of a dark burgundy. I may get some glazing liquid involved. That's transparent. Come up to the top of my eye. Add this little shadow right here. Do the same over here. Rinse out. And come get some yellow, just pure yellow. Come underneath my eye. Curve some just yellow light there. I'm leaving orange in the lower, but I just want the yellow light. I might grab a little bit of my pink here and touch up some of my pink that I did. Little touch up. Sometimes you have to do a little touch up. Now I'm going to take a little white. I'm going to come to the center of my bulbs. Add a little white. Just to give the glow. Take a little bit of white. Add a bright reflection on the top of my nose there. I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow and green. And then I'm going to make a little parentheses here. Little parentheses there. Just to represent the glow. Get some just yellow. Work it into my brush. And then I'm going to get some red and yellow together. I'm going to add a little bit of a glow around the bulbs. All right. So then I've got to dry everything so I can finish the eyes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Quick dry.
Got to quick dry so I can finish the eye.
All right.
Quick dry to finish the eye.
So just see how quick that dry is. But even if I think that it would be really cool to push little light bulbs through there to paint this, and then even have the light bulbs come through on the painting. So because I think it looked cool that way. That's just what I think. You could do however you like it. But you do need to dry to get the eyes, have the highlights in them to have that glossy finish. You'll wanna dry.
I want to dry.
All right.
I want to dry.
This is the next step?
This is the next step.
Oh, we're
Take
on
a little yellow.
13th step.
It's going to have to be today. I'm a little bit weird about being on 13, which is why John's pointing it out. But I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow white.
He's a 13th warrior kind of guy.
He is. I'm going to come in here and add a little bit of a highlight under that eye. Grab a little bit of my... Nah, I'm not going to do that. It's looking pretty good. Don't want to mess that up. Get my littlest brush. And this time I will put out some fluid white acrylic, I think, just for the flow. What this is it's acrylic paint, but the body of the paint is different. It's a fluid paint, so it's a little runnier, and I don't have to thin my white as much to make it work. So I'm going to come here and grab just a smidge of it. And around here at the water line. Little broken line of white reflection. You guys have it. Just all the little steps that'll get you there. A little bit of white reflection. Look at them go. Might get just a little more white and yellow together. Even create a little hotter center right there. Just to make his eyes really, really aglow.
You did.
Aglow, aglow, aglow.
You glowed him.
I glowed him. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my white over to my fluid white over to my turquoise. Create a light color. Kind of rest my hand here to steady my hand, and I'm going to make a little signature.
Oh. So why? So you know where you made the little water line around his bottom of his eye? Why did you make it broken up instead of just a singular line?
Because when you look at somebody's water line, the light doesn't catch it all evenly and create an even outer lining. It generally catches a couple highlights and a couple reflections, and so that's why I like to do a broken line. So it looks a little more like what's in your own water line.
Interesting.
Yes, it's why the reflections are just here. It's just playing with the games of light. We painted a holiday critter.
Yeah.
We did. We did it. We painted a holiday critter, and it was fun. I had fun.
Yeah, he's like a lot of folks enjoyed this one today. It was
is
good
the painting I needed right now. I don't know about you, but he's the painting I needed right now.
Yeah.
Just sometimes we have to remember, like, in the seriousness of adulthood, which is very serious business. To remember to be a little playful and to let our inner child come out and kind of rock it a little bit and have some fun creatively. I think it makes life feel a little bit lighter and a little bit easier from the day to day, in my personal opinion.
I agree.
So I hope you had fun doing this with me. Do we have any questions before I go?
I was over here. I think we got them.
Did we get them?
Yeah, the question about the water line was a big one.
That was a great question. Good question.
That's a tier line, and yeah, I think that was most of the question. I think we got all the ones. Yeah, a lot of people really enjoyed that you added the pop, pop, pop to it. That's something that we don't really.
Got to add the pop, pop, pop.
Yep.
To get the eyes. And
I do also like the idea about adding the light bulbs. I think that was very nice.
Yeah, I love that. The light bulbs would be super cute, and I know I'm going to see that in group. Speaking of, I have a Facebook group called the Art Sherpa Official. And it's a group it's curated, it's on Facebook, it's closed. It's just a great place to share your paintings that you do with me. And it's just a really fun, supportive group. I really love it. I also have a page, which would be great if you went back and followed. It's the Art Sherpa page on Facebook.
Yep.
We lost a few followers through that hacking situation. And so, like, if you'd love to come back and refollow it, I'd appreciate it.
Like,
And
comment, subscribe, and share. Yay!
yeah, I mean, you're still here. You should probably subscribe because, you know, you're painting with me and I have 3,000 of these. So, and I do about 3 new ones a week, unless I'm doing one of the daily painting challenges that I do.
Yeah.
And plus, I do patron painting. So I'm a busy, busy artist. However much you want to paint, I have enough art for you. And there's 3,000 past ones. So hit that subscribe button. Feel free to leave comments on any video, ask questions. I check my YouTube channel all the time. And I don't see every single one, but I am there every day looking at my YouTube channel. So I try to answer as many as I can. And so like, comment, and subscribe, like John says, because I think it's really cool. And
Yeah.
also there's the text notification because we know that YouTube does not always send out notifications, right? Like, it's kind of weird about
I
that.
forgot to post that stuff up in here. Yeah.
But we do have a text notification.
Yeah, we have a text notification system. I think it may be described in the description down below. I'm not sure.
Well, actually, if one of the moderators could throw up the text notification information into the live chat, that would be really awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it.
And we'll make sure we have it burned up here
Yeah.
for the rest of the time. But it's a nice way to be able to always know when we're going live, because that's what we do, is we text you when we're going live, or when we dropped a video, or just what's happening, just stuff that's happening on the channel.
I keep forgetting to make that lower third.
I will remind you today.
Yeah.
I will be remindy. I will be very remindy. Well, I feel like I definitely tickled my happy bone.
Yep,
I hope
this has
you
been
do
great.
too.
There it is. There's the info.
Yay! All right, so it's in the live chat. And guys, thank you for coming to these live streams. It is really fun to do this. We've got a great painting coming up Saturday. It's a winter landscape. It is a 3-hoot, but I think it's one that's very accessible, and we're going to really talk about clouds and things. I so appreciate you guys, and I hope you're doing really well. I want you guys to be good to yourselves, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and I will see you at an easel real soon. Bye-bye.